Okay, so let's find a comfortable seat. Just going to move back a little bit. Okay. And take 5 beautiful, full, nourishing breaths. And every time we repeat this, it's the equivalent of a practice. And eventually, it creates this familiarity so that when you close your eyes and you just take those 5 breaths, you return to a place you've been before. So sticking with the chakra and mudra theme, I'm sorry, I have to take a pause. Somebody is, okay, never mind. So we started to introduce the sacral chakra last week, and it resides here, which makes all the sense in the world that it's called the sacral chakra, and it's 2 inches below the navel, 1 inch in, the way that I understand it. And what it is it's a packet of energy and a point of reference. So within this teaching of the chakras is all that it represents. And in this case, since we're playing with the mudras, there are certain mudras that reside within the context of the sacral chakra. And we talked about last week fluidity, and all of these words have their own meaning. So you can almost interpret them yourself. Fluidity, harmony. And today it's reassurance, which I thought was just so apropos in light of where we are with this pandemic and all of the emotions that have arisen as a result. So this is a complicated one. So I'm going to have to refer to my handy little card here. And I'm going to have to read it because it's a little confusing and not that easy to do. So you're going to take the left thumb and grab it with the right hand, like this, and just sort of wrap your left fingertips around your right hand, and then take the thumb and try to touch the rest of the fingers. So I don't know if you can see, but that's kind of how it looks. And again, it's just a reference in a context. So if you don't get it quite right, it doesn't mean that you're not going to become reassured, right? But what it does is it just gives you a word to focus on that has a meaning, right? So reassurance is a sense of soothing. It's a sense of feeling a little settled. And if you also watch what happens to your breath when you feel reassured, there's a deepening and a lengthening and filling. So we're just going to place your hands where they're comfortable, and with the idea of reassurance and sending your attention, if you choose to the sacral chakra, and using your breath. Let's stay here for, I'm going to say 7 rather than 10 and rather than 5. So in the middle. 7 breaths. And again, food for thought and a direction and attention to that idea of reassurance. Everything will be okay. We made it. We're resilient. We rise to the occasion. and we are okay. And after the next breath, just slowly open your eyes if they were closed and release your hands. And that was a little awkward, so I'm going to shake it out a little bit. Today we're going to start standing. So I might have to adjust my screen a little bit. So find your favorite spot to start standing and have your blocks and your strap. Just going to start kind of simply and slowly. Feet or hips width apart. Right on the center of your feet, right? So even rock back and forth. So you can kind of come up on your toes, rock back on your heels a little bit. Paying attention to the feet, right? And then when you place the heels down, make sure the center of the heel is behind the second and third toe. Now we're going to shift the weight back and forth. So feel the outside of the right, feel the outside of the left. Just keep swaying back and forth. So in a way, we found the front, we found the back, we find the right, we find the left. And when we come back to the center, let your arms just softly drop. Feel your armpits by extending your fingers as though they're going to touch the floor. And let your shoulders come up and let your shoulders slide down. So soft and easy. For 3 more. And 2 more. And 1 more. And then go into a roll for 5 in one direction. And let your arms kind of wave with the movement so that you're not holding them too stiff. And then go back the other way. And again, extend the fingertips down so you feel your armpits and rise softly, rise the arms up. Touch, softly drop and lower the arms. So softly, heavy, dead weight, touch fingers, heavy, dead weight, lower down. We'll do 3. So priority is the shoulder blades sliding down. Lost count. And 1 more. Going to stay up here, interlock fingers, turn the palms up, aim the palms up, draw the arms back so you feel the tops of your shoulders. Give yourself a soft, gentle first back bend. Inhaling and exhaling. And then bring the hands underneath the chin. We're going to take a long spine to fold forward. So our first fold is not going to be as satisfying as the last. Keep your knees soft, keep your spine long, unround your back if that speaks more to what we want here. And then we're going to go all the way down. So first hang, generally you'll feel it in the lower back. You'll forget to use your abdominals. So eventually on the exhale, pull your tummy in. You'll notice how that pulls a lot of stuff out of the way. And those of you who enjoy abducting, press the balls of the big toes down, outer edges of the heels apart. So every time I say that, what I'm meaning to say is it's your practice. So do what speaks to you. Do what feels important. And after the next breath, we're just going to take a little walk over to the right. Perhaps that awakens the left side. You can also kind of shift your hips over. Inhaling and exhaling, don't forget to pull the tummy in, bring it back to the center and over to the other side. You can shift your hips to the right, kind of feel the fire from the right butt to the right fingertips. And we're going to walk it back, hang heavy, and use the abdominals to roll up. Before we start, just extend the fingertips down, just to remind the shoulders that the armpits are part of this equation, right? So you want to kind of feel those armpits. And then you're just going to bring the arms up shoulder height. So we've done this one before. Roll just the shoulders, arms, hands, pinkies aim to the floor if that's available. Shoulders roll back, arms, hands, pinkies up to the ceiling. We'll do 2 more of those. And just keep remembering, this is early on, so everything is a little tighter and a little less cooperative. So we have to wait until there's more cooperation. I lost count. All right, let's do another one. 3, and bring it back. So with the shoulder blade sliding down, see if you can feel that actually. Shimmy and feel it. Keep the arms there. The only thing that's going to change, the palms are going to face down, the wrists are going to flex, and take an extension. Don't like hyperextend into your elbows or anything, because just that action of pressing hand away from hand, kind of, no doubt about it, there's energy flowing in there. Again, check into those shoulder blades always. Left arm comes up, right hand hold on underneath. Take a nice side bend. Again, early on, if you don't feel safe, don't shift your hips to the left. If you do feel safe, do. Bring it back to the center, switch, and over to the left. I think we're going to do another round. And bring it back. When you go over to the left here, I want you to reach through that left heel of the hand, right? And maybe you'll feel it all the way down to the left foot. Here, you might feel a little safer to shift the hips and switch up and over, reach through the left heel of the hand, down to the left heel of the foot. Nice. And bring it back, drop the shoulders, bring your arms back here, dead weight. So this is going to be a little tricky. So you're just going to roll just the right shoulder forward and then the left, right? So we're trying to get a little more wave action in the arms, a little more fluidity, right? And nobody can see you. I'm the only one that can make a fool of themselves here because you can all see me. So we're just going to do 3, 3, 2, 2. Don't be rigid, be kind of fluid. Nice. And bring it back, bring the arms down, hands on hips, long spine to fold forward. When you're down here in your hang, feet or hips width apart for the 5 breaths in order to abduct. We haven't really done too much with our hips yet, but it still feels really good to fire up the outsides of the legs. Don't forget to pull that tummy out of the way. So grab your blocks, and they can be this height. Separate your feet a little bit wider than your hips. Keep your knees soft. There's going to be a tendency here to hyperextend, and that's never a good idea. So keep the knees soft and walk your blocks out so that your back really lengthens. So if you have a tendency to round your back, check in with your back here and make sure it's not rounded. And just like we do in our puppy dogs, find the outer edges of the armpits and wrap them to the floor. If you don't know where to put your head, let your ears line up with your arms. And we're just going to stay here for like 3 more breaths. You can play with whatever internal actions you like. So you can be abducting here. You can find the outer edges of the armpits and wrap them. You can also do nothing if a lot of signals are coming just by being in this shape. So when we come out of this, just push the blocks a little bit further away from you. Leave the right hand on the block. Take the left hand onto the outside of the right ankle. And hello. I'm going to take a twist. And in this twist, you kind of want to make sure your hips are square. Almost imagine them on the wall together. And then find the outer edges of the right armpit. Take a little twist. Come back and switch. So right hand over to the left ankle. Look underneath the armpit. Imagine both buttock bones on an imaginary wall. Find the outer edges of the left armpit. Nice. So we'll do that one more time. Take another twist to the right. Keep breathing. So breath is motion. So even though the pose seems static, it's not if you're breathing. And one more breath. When you bring it back, toe heel your feet back to hips width. And this is going to be a little tricky. And of course, if you are getting lightheaded, come on up. If not, I'm going to take the right hand with the palm facing up and stick it underneath your feet. So ideally, you want to get the middle finger to touch the heel. But if you can't do that, no big deal. So just get, even if you get the tips of your fingers underneath the tips of your toes, you're creating a circuit. So you can even look at me and kind of imagine energetically that there's no break in the circuit. So the energy is sort of flowing in an oval shape or an elliptical shape. And strangely enough, this is very soothing and very reassuring because of the circuitousness of it and the full circle. Nice. So we're going to release those hands and take a nice abdominal roll up. So let's come down to the mat. Keep your straps and your blocks. And sit back on your heels for child's pose. Just to reintroduce that idea of reassurance, right? So when you feel comfortable and when you feel safe, you also feel reassured. I have to shut that off. Sorry, guys. Come on forward to all fours. Hands underneath your shoulders, knees underneath your hips. Move everything, especially if you're feeling it in your hips, right? And then go right into 5 cats and cows. Inhale forward, exhale back. Inhale, arch, exhale, round, right? Inhale, exhale. So because we know this so well, you might want to focus on the transition, right? So see how a cow becomes a cat. And then when you sit back on your heels and you tap those heels, you're going to come forward to your cow. And watch how that cow becomes the cat. And then the cat becomes the cow. And the more attention you pay to the details and to the transitions, the more present you are. And there's a lot of reassurance that comes from being present. For 2 and 1. Nice. So we're going to sit back on those heels and come forward again. Shoulders over wrists, hips over knees. Kind of important to start off with a very stable structure. I think I have to move back so you guys can see me better. So once you have your stable structure and you feel safe and you feel supported and you feel your bones, I'm just going to take this right knee out to, it's not a very nice description, but it's very accurate. Peeing dog. And we're going to make big circles with the knees. So we're going to Bring the right knee forward, down, back, out to the side. Let's do 4, 3, 2, 1, and reverse. You might find one is harder than the other. And one more breath. And when you bring it back to peeing dog, we're just going to open this out. So the first thing that's going to go is your arms, but you're going to try to hang on to the integrity of that alignment in your arms and let them both support you equally. And inhale and exhale, and keep lifting the knee so you fire up that glute. And switch to the other side. So bring the left knee out to the side, and we're going to circle forward. 5, 4. Again, pay attention to your arms. They're going to want to slack off, but you want to keep them honest. And then other way for 5, 3, 2, and 1. Then we're going to lift that knee out to the side, specifically to fire up your glute. Inhale and exhale. So when we come back to the center, I know that some of you don't have this cow pose. So we're going to do this with a modification for those of you who need it. We're going to take first we're going to walk the left knee into the center of the mat and take the right knee and place it behind. Separate your feet. So those of you who have a cow and feel safe, you're going to sit back into your cow. Those of you who don't, if you can at least cross your knees, you're just going to walk your fingertips forward and take a puppy dog. And you can experiment with walking your fingertips over from one side to the other. And those of you who are in your cow, ideally the heels line up with the knees, no further. And you might already feel a lot of heat. And if it's available to you, you're going to walk your fingertips forward. And allow all that energy to swirl around in those hips. And use your breath and pull your tummy out of the way. Sorry about that, I'm on a thread. And one more breath. And we're going to come back, swing everything around so you're back onto all fours. Walk the right knee into the middle of the mat, cross the left knee over. If you don't have sitting back into your cow available to you, just lower down into your puppy dog. Walk your fingertips over right and left. If you're in your cow, after you allow all that swirling energy to swirl, you're going to walk it forward. And it's like a vice. It's almost like impossible not to feel your hips in this, even though they might be, you might have soft edges in your hips. It's pretty hard to not feel anything in this. And one more breath. Bring it back up, swing it around, back onto your knees. Here's where we're going to use the strap. And I'm going to give you a chance to find the right distance with your strap, because you're going to take the strap right above your elbows. See? It helps for it not to be twisted, but if it's twisted, it's not a deal breaker. Take the buckle and make sure it's kind of off to the side. And I'm going to give you a choice here, because one of these variations is harder and one of them is easier. I'm gonna give you the easy one first, and then I'll do the harder one, and you can either join in or not. So you're just gonna kind of first come to all fours, and you wanna feel the strap. So it's gotta have a little bit of tension, and you wanna keep your elbows over your wrists. Then you're gonna walk your knees back a little bit, okay? So the idea here is to start doing some chaturanga preps or yoga push-ups. And you can kind of, it's almost like a duh, you know? As soon as you start to lower yourself down, keeping the elbows over the wrist, so that's the most important thing, the strap catches you, right? And it's like, whoo, thank God for that, right? So reassurance. Be assured that strap's gonna catch you, right? So I'm gonna give you the choice of doing this, and I'm gonna also give you the choice of the number because I'm not watching, and you could do 2 and say, wow, aren't I terrific? Or you can do 10, or you can do 20. If you wanna up the ante a little bit, bring the knees back underneath the hips, extend the right leg out. It's going to be an exhale to bring the knee to the nose. It's going to be an inhale to extend out, exhale to lower down, and inhale to come up. Exhale, knee to nose, inhale out, exhale. Right, so we're going to do, that's 3. Again, the action is forward so that the shoulders stay, the elbow stays over the wrist. That's so important. Exhale, again, chest goes forward and switch. So left leg straight out, inhale, exhale, knee to nose, inhale, let that strap catch you, but aim your heart forward. So shoulders stay over wrists. This is 3. And exhale, inhale, 2, exhale, inhale, 1. And let it go. And sit back on your heels. Remove the strap. Keep your blocks close. I'm going to give you a couple of breaths in your child's pose so I can take a little sip of water. Hopefully you have water nearby too. Yummy. So as though the push-ups weren't enough, now we're going to do some core with planks. So from your child's pose, I'm going to come forward to this. For some reason, I feel like you guys can't see me, so I have to fix this. There we go. That's better. Prayer dog, right? So it's shaped like this. Most of you know this. You can keep your hands in prayer, or you can interlock your fingers. Just make sure you tuck the pinky in. And you're making an equilateral triangle. So we're going to come up to the dog first. Kind of unfair because we haven't done regular dogs, but that's okay. We won't be here long. And just take a couple of breaths, negotiating with this particular shape, especially if it's a little challenging. But then you're going to find your way to your plank, which is shoulder over elbows. So you can see that, right? Hips are a little higher, not way up, just about there. And we're going to take you, again, your choice. I'm going to do 10. We're going to breathe. So I'm always talking about the core or the abdominals as a basic, pulling the tummy into, pulling the tummy in on the exhale or the navel towards the front of the spine. In this case, I want you to picture a cylinder. So you're cylindrically wrapping, right? Because your abdominals are actually shaped like a cylinder. And it's wrapping. And it's wrapping in towards the spine. But it's a cylinder, not just a spot. And use your breath. One more breath, I think. And you can either come out of it going into your dog because you get a nice armpit shoulder stretch, but if you don't want to, I totally understand. So come on down to your knees, grab your blocks. Hands on top of the blocks, walk the knees back. For a puppy dog, here's where you get to really lengthen. So we just strengthened in the plank, and now we're lengthening. It's the magic combo, right? So as you're here and you're letting gravity help, and you're finding that place of traction, we're going to take about 3 breaths to find the outer edges of the armpits and wrap them to the floor. And a little bend into the middle, in the middle to upper back. And then just think about your armpits being really, really long without your shoulders popping away. Nice. So we're not finished yet. We're going to take another block, but put it horizontally. You're going to take your palms. Oh no, I'm sorry. I'm way ahead of myself. Your hands are going to wrap around. So the thumb, the block is in between the thumb and the index finger. This too is a dog variation. So get your elbows down and get your butt up. And if it's challenging, just play with it. Use the heels to pull you out of your upper body. You can bend your knees and get your butt to go way up. And use your breath. So you're always trying to infuse the shape with the breath. Take a little journey. So again, we're going to bring those shoulders right over the elbows. The hips are going to be slightly up. And we're going to take as many breaths as you choose. I'm doing 10. And again, if you're interested in that cylindrical wrap, just picture it's a cylinder. It's from the bottom of the ribs to the top of the, not really, it goes inside your pelvis a little bit. But it's really not that long. And keep using your breath, and as you exhale, think about that cylinder. I lost count. I'm going to do 2 more. And then if you want to jackknife it, back up to your dog. And feel that torso getting really, really long. And use the heat. That's very heat generating, by the way. So if you're sweating, that's a good sign. Now, we're going to turn the palms up on either side of the block. And before we go into this puppy dog, I just want everybody to press the block with the outside of your hands and open your palms, right? May not feel anything yet, but as soon as you walk those knees back and you find your puppy dog, so your butt is sort of lined up over your knees and obviously not touching your heels. And then we're going to use gravity again, and we're going to find that place of traction, but mostly, and if there's nothing, if you do nothing else, press the block, open your palms. Press the block, open your palms, and then you should feel like a spiral swirling through your arms all the way up to your armpits. And if you can find the outer edges of the armpits and wrap them to the floor, and then a slight bend in the middle to upper back, you're going to be all set up for dogs. And now we're so strong in our centers, in our core. We can do anything. So, let's toss the blocks off to the side and get ready to do our sequence. Gonna go right into it. Sitting back on your heels in your child's pose, extend your arms forward, but never ever. So if you ever feel your shoulders like mine are doing, inching up towards your ears, just go, no, 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 no. We stay down. So now we're going to take an inhale to come forward and through, upward facing. The arms might be a little tighter. Flip over the toes. We're ready for these dogs because of what we just did. And we're ready for these planks because of what we just did. So wave it forward and wave it back. Down to the knees, come forward, open your heart, and back to your heels, exhale. So let's flow. Inhale, upward facing, fluidity, sacral chakra. Exhale. Inhale. Exhale. Watch how this cow becomes a cat. The cat becomes an upward facing. The upward facing becomes the downward facing. Then we wave it forward to become a plank. We wave it back to become a dog. Inhale forward. Exhale back. So keep going and see if maybe we can create that circuit, right? And be reassured that you know this. You got this. We've been doing this every single practice since we started. So if you can remind yourself of that and potentially channel the idea of reassurance, we're going to be okay. Inhale. I lost count, so let's do one more bonus. And to your dog. And to your plank. And back. And down to your knees. And back to your heels. Use your breath. After the next breath, we're going to turn those toes under and find our way to a hang. If some of you found that the blocks are very helpful in these hang variations and you want to use them, please grab them. So we're just going to do a little hip warming up here. So with the fingertips on the floor, we're just going to take a little Utkatasana prep or chair pose prep. This is the whole relationship. And then easily bring those arms up and see if you can find a nice, easy, reassured breath, and everything will be okay. And then butt goes up and head goes down. Take a stretch. And again, we're going to do 3 more of those. Take a breath or 2 here. And butt goes up, head goes down. For 2. Last one. Bring the hands behind the back, clasp the palms together. Squeeze between the shoulder blades. Your legs should feel really strong right here. They're supporting you. And then you're just opening your heart and keeping your elbows soft. Let it go with fingertips on the floor. Heel toe your feet. Out to the edge of the mat is a good destination. And we're going to do the same thing. So we're just going to kind of sit into a squat prep. We're not doing squats unless you want to. But you are getting into that hip fold. Butt goes up, head goes down. We're going to do 3. And then sit. On the third one, I just want you to stop here. Take your elbows into your knees, bring your hands into prayer. Use your breath and extend your spine or unround your back. So we're not going down into a squat unless you want to. Inhaling and exhaling. So one more strengthener. You can heel toe those feet a little, sort of in between hips width and edges of the mat. Walk your fingertips out to a wide dog. Make sure you're sliding into your knuckles. And we're just going to swivel the heels over to the right, which awakens, it's my new favorite word, your left side. Slide into the knuckles so you're not heavy in the heels of the hands. And we're going to swivel over to the left and reach through that right side. When you come back to the center, you're going to swivel those feet over to the right. See if you can take the left hand off and come forward. And if you can't, modify this. Don't do it. Sit in your child's pose. If you do it, make sure everything's lined up. Notice my arm shaking because of all the arm stuff that we just did. And back to your dog. Swivel the heels over to the left. And use your breath. The easier your breath, the easier the pose. The less effortful, right? My left arm is shaking like crazy, but that only means that more energy and vibration is coming to that left arm. You can stretch it out through a dog, and then we're just going to step it up. So you can either walk it or bring the feet hips width apart at the front of your mat, wherever that might be for you. I'm just going to move my things here. And with bent knees, just roll it up. So we stayed folded and bent for quite some time. I'm going to move it back a little bit. So at the front of the mat, with hands in prayer, just want to do a little bit of back bending here. I'm not back home. I have to fix this. That gave you a little catch your breath interlude. Just to have a little back bending opportunity. You're going to bring your thumbs together. We've been doing this. This is that mudra, freedom mudra, right? And then just bring your arms overhead. And before you do any back bending here, pull your tummy in, right? That's going to protect your lower back. And then we're going to let the blade slide down the back and find that bend, middle to upper back. You might feel the tops of your armpits. One more. And let it go. And here's reverence mudra. So with your hands at your heart, we're going to move into a sun salutation sequence at a pace that you can follow. So we'll take it slow. Inhale, bring your arms out and up. Meet at the top. Exhale, swan dive, fold forward. Fingertips on the floor. Gonna sit down, and here's your chair pose. Bring your arms on either side of your ears. We're gonna stay here for 3 breaths. Strengthening those legs. Unrounding the back. When the fingertips come back down to the floor, I'm going to step the left foot back and drop the knee. Half monkey. So by now, priority, there's different priorities and different poses. In this pose, it's the hips. You want to square them off. Then think about the fold on the right and the unfold on the left. And then we want to lift out. Inhale. And exhale. When the fingertips come down on either side of the front foot, we're going to take a runner stretch for 3 breaths. So the first round is going to be just for getting the heat generating and the ball rolling. We have a tendency to shift the hips over to right or left. You want to keep them in the middle. Nice. So when we come back this time, turn the back toes under, bring your arms up. And if this is too much of a challenge for you, you can bring your hands onto your knees because we're gonna lift the back knee. If you're here, Let's take a breath or two to familiarize ourselves with the lunge, right? So the lunge is the knee, hopefully mine is, knee over ankle, and then you want to find the corner of that left heel. And then light as a feather, levitate. Now, when we come down, fingertips on either side of the front foot, you're going to drop that back knee, and you're going to go back into that runner's stretch. So we're going to speed this up for 3 rounds. Stepping back onto the front foot, lift the back knee and bring it up. Bring fingertips down, bend the back knee into your runner's stretch. You may have to adjust your distance and bring it up. One more round. Drop the back knee, runner's stretch. And if you don't want to do 3 rounds of this, just practice the elements of it. And bring both fingertips down on either side of the front foot and step it up. Fold forward, which feels really good. Reverse your swan dive and back to the heart. So we always get the bad news on the right, and then we try to make it into the good news on the left. Inhale, bring your arms out and up. Exhale, fold forward. Bend those knees, strong chair pose. 3 breaths so that we can adjust in order to feel safe. Fold forward, butt goes up, head goes down. We're going to step back on the right this time. Drop the back knee, make any adjustment you need to make. We'll stay here for 3 breaths. And again, it's always the case. One side feels one way, the other side feels another way. Pay attention, send love. Bring the fingertips down to the floor. We're going to go into the runner's stretch. Again, your hips are going to want to go to the right. You bring them over to the left. And unround your back. So when we come back this time, we're going to turn those back toes under, and we're going to bring it into lunge. Make any adjustment you need to make. Use blocks. So now we're going to speed it up for 3 rounds. So we're going to fold it forward, drop the back knee into your runner's stretch. Bring it forward, lift the back knee, lunge. Fold forward, runner's stretch. Bring it back, lunge. Last time, runner's stretch. Bring it forward, lunge. Fingertips down, step it up, feet or hips width apart. Fold forward, breathe into your lower back, pull your tummy in to just remember your core protects your lower back. If you're losing your breath, I'm going to stay here just for 3 breaths so you can recalibrate if you need to. So we're going to inhale, bring the arms out and up. We're going to exhale to fold forward. This time, keep the fingertips on the floor or use blocks. Float the left leg up behind you. So some of you may just stay here. This might be enough. You can kind of play around with lifting your hands off. If you're confident and sure you're going to be okay, right? It's all about knowing you're going to be okay. We're going to stand on one leg. Remember that the leg that's up off the floor is the rudder, so if it swings back and forth, so do you. Bring fingertips down on the floor. We're going to step that left foot back for warrior 1. And bring the arms up. As soon as the breath starts to regulate, check in, make sure that your hips are facing forward. That's warrior 1. Remember we did this the other day and we worked on the knee staying over the second and third toe? So that's going to happen as we come out with dead weight arms to warrior two. So you may have to watch me for this. I'll do one round so that you can see, and then we'll do 3 rounds. So we're going to inhale to bring it to warrior one. Exhale to warrior two. Don't let the base change. So inhale, warrior one. Exhale, warrior two. Inhale, warrior one. Exhale, warrior two. One more, warrior one. Last time, warrior two. Stay here. I'm just going to bring this elbow on the knee. If you want to do a modified, if you want to up the ante a little bit, you can bring it here. So when you do this version, feel the outside of the back foot. That often gets forgotten and neglected. And see if you can wake up that left side. Bring the fingertips down, step it up, fold, reverse your swan dive, and back to the heart. And again, bad news is always on the right, the good news on the left, because now you know what you're doing. Inhale and exhale. Float the right leg up. Get your bearings. Meet yourself where you are. If this is out of the question today, don't even think about it. Try to stay here for 5 breaths. The longer you can stay in a balance, the stronger the standing leg gets. One more breath. My rudder's starting to move. Gonna step that right foot back to warrior one and bring it up. So your legs are your strength, your core is your power, and the grace is the upper body. So you take that out to warrior two. The base doesn't change. Keep the arms nice and heavy, right? So you're not doing this, more like that. Inhale, bring it up. Exhale, warrior two. Inhale, warrior one. Exhale, warrior two. Inhale, warrior one. And exhale, warrior two. Again, elbow resting on knee, or you can bring that hand on the outside of the left foot and use your breath. One more breath. This time I want you to step back to a dog. So take the left foot back, get into your dog, which might feel really reassuring. It might not. Now we're going to float that right leg up. And we're going to swing it forward to a pigeon. Tricked you. Okay. So once we're on the ground, we feel a little safer. Goes without saying. Using your breath. I'm actually going to switch my position so you can see me a little bit better. No, that doesn't work. It doesn't work either. I have to. Zoom logic. There we go. Okay, that gave you enough time in your pigeon. And this too, anybody who needs to make any adjustments when we get into these hip flexors, hip openers, sit on something if you need to. Because we're going to take this back leg. I wanted to do hip openers today. So half lotus, very, very difficult pose. And if this is very challenging to you and your knee is all the way up here and you're sitting back on your tailbone, either grab a bolster, grab pillows, or grab a blanket, or modify to soles of the feet together. If you're in half lotus and you can manage this, heel on top of knee, knee over heel, right? Feet stay very active. They stay flexed. You reach through the corners of your heels, which we open up all the time. Seated poses, it's like a formula. Check in with the pelvic floor, feel the spine effortlessly rise and the crown of the head. Aiming up to the heavens, fingertips out to the side if that's available to you. You might be struggling too much. course, we don't want you to struggle, but we do want your hips to open. And then we're really going to up the ante by folding forward and generating a lot of heat in those hips. You might even feel your SI joints, your sacroiliac. And again, I find myself liking to move, helps. So listen to your body, breathe, and bring it up. You can do this if you're in Baddha Konasana or any shape that you've chosen to be in. You're going to take your right fingertips and you're going to bring the left arm up overhead. We're going to go to our side bends. And you can stay here with your side bend. Breathe into that left side, fire it up. Aiming the left butt down, you can press into the right fingertips, but then we're going to take the left fingertips alongside the right. Don't worry about your shoulders, but scoop your abdominals in. You can also look way behind you as long as your shoulders aren't up to your ears. Nice. And bring it back. If you'd like to go back into a dog in order to come into a pigeon on the left, you can do that. Or you can just come out of this and come into a pigeon on the left. So we'll take 5 breaths in these pigeons. Remember, a lot of these poses are doing folds and unfolds simultaneously. So you're doing a fold on the right and an unfold on the left. It helps. And breathe. And after the next breath, we're going to swing that back leg around. Half lotus would be half heel on knee, knee over heel, or some version of that. Take a moment, recruit formula, fold forward, long spine, shoulders behaving, abdominals automatically activating, hopefully, the goal. Breathing, hinging it back up, left fingertips out to the side, and you can use those left fingertips to press that right butt back and reach through the right, left, right, and breathe. So last part of this, stay in your side bend, rotate, bringing your fingertips down to the mat and alongside each other, and then scoop your abdominals in. And last breath. Beautiful. So here we are, we're in our seat. We're going to just sit in an easy seat. Close your eyes, hands wherever they're happy. And as you breathe, just kind of let all the sensations and whatever might have opened, wherever there's more flow than there wasn't before, wherever you're feeling more of your body, let it be, let it settle, let it blend. It's part of the movement. So hopefully as everything is stimulated and everything starts to move, we start to appreciate the internal activity. And if nothing else, this pandemic closing our worlds so much, limiting our worlds, is forcing us to notice, if not welcome, all the internal activity. And that is the gift of yoga. If nothing else, it stimulates it. Hands to the heart. Anjali Mudra, the mudra of reverence. And then we're going to bring those thumbs together and hands over heart. It's the mudra of freedom. And a beautiful phrase that was used by my teacher from years ago. Freedom in confinement. Paradox. There's so much about life that's a paradox. So as we're here with the mudra of freedom over our heart, just if you choose to contemplate that idea of freedom in confinement. And we are in a form of confinement. Hands back to the heart and namaste.